Hello, Miss Tyne here with your math lesson for today. Now, for our lesson today, we're going to be solving some story problems. We'll solve one problem together, and then you'll solve two on your own. And when we solved our story problems yesterday, we thought a lot about different strategies we can use. Now, today, we're only going to use one strategy, and we're going to look at how we can use it really efficiently or quickly. We're going to look at using an open number line. By the end of our lesson, you will be able to say, I can solve story problems using a number line, and I can make jumps of 10, 50, and 100 on a number line. So let's look at the problem we're going to solve together. It is vacation time. Eric and his family are driving 450 miles to Grandma's house. Sarah and her family are driving 294 miles to the new theme park. Which family has farther to drive? How many miles farther? Blank's family has blank miles farther to drive. Now, when we're looking at a problem like this is really a two-part problem. We know that because we have two questions we need to answer. So the first part of this problem is which family has farther to drive, and the second part is how many miles farther. So let's look at our first question. Which family has farther to drive? So I'm going to look at my two numbers, 450 and 294. Now you might just know that 450 is a bigger number than 294 to know that Eric's family has further to drive. Now, you have to think about how you know that. So I know that because I'm thinking about place value. So I'm thinking about what place my numbers are in. My 4 is in the hundreds place. So that's going to tell me really how big my number is. And I'm going to look at my hundreds place in my smaller number, 294. I know that 2 is smaller than 4, so I know that Sarah's family is not going to drive as far as Eric's family. So after I figured out the first part, I need to start to solve the second part. How many miles further or farther? So before I do that, I'm going to make a really good estimate of how many miles further Eric's family has to drive. And I'm going to make an estimate to just kind of warm up my brain to help me solve the problem a little better or easier. So I'm going to think about that number 294. Now that number is really close to another big friendly number. That number is 300. I know if I just go 6 more miles, I'll be at 300 miles. So I can start to think about the difference between 300 and 450. Well, I know the difference between 300 and 400 is just 100, and then I can add that 50. So my brain's already thinking, I think they have about 150 more miles to drive. So now I'm going to start to use my open number line to find that difference. I'm going to draw my number line just to get started. And I know that I'm going to have a start point and an ending point. And because of the information in the problem, I know that I'm going to start at 294 because that's my smaller number. I'm going to end at 450. Now, one thing that I could do to solve this problem that I'm really comfortable with, because we've done it a lot, is to make a lot of jumps of 10 until I get all the way up to 450 or close to 450, then I can do my jumps of 1. But I'll tell you, that's a lot of jumps of 10. So I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 51, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot of jumps. So I'm wondering, can we solve this problem more efficiently? What if we grouped our jumps of 10 into a bigger jump? Now I can take 10 jumps of 10 and make it one big jump of 100. And I know if I'm at 294, I make my big jump of 100, I'm at 394 because I'm just adding 100. So the only number that changes is the number in the hundreds place. And then I can make my little jumps of 10. So I have 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, add my 6. I know that Eric's family has 156 miles farther to drive. Now that strategy works. Now I want to think about how I can take all that information and summarize it into an equation. So how can I write an equation with all my information? Now with our open number line, it seemed a lot like we were adding because we counted up from 294 to 450. So we can write an equation that looks a little something like this. 294 plus 156 equals 450. We know that's true because we're using all the information from our problem. I can also write a subtraction equation. I'm using the same information in my addition equation. I just flipped it around a little bit. So I know that Eric's family drove 450 miles. And they drove 156 more miles than Sarah's family. So I take away that 156 extra miles to see that Sarah's family drove 294 miles. We can write two different equations that tell us the same information. Now that's one strategy that I used, that open number line. And I'm going to use that strategy again to see if I can solve this problem in a more efficient way. Only instead of making all those jumps of 10 that I turned into a jump of 100, I'm going to think about how I can do this differently. You can solve the same problem with so many different jumps. So let's look at a different amount of jumps I can use. So I'm going to start again at 294, and I know I want to end at 450. So I'm going to think about that friendly number that I was thinking about earlier with my estimate of 300. So I know that I can just make a jump of 6, and I'm on this friendly number of 300. That's really helpful because I already kind of knew how much of a difference it is between 300 and 450. So I know already that I can make a jump of 50. I'm using my number sense. I'm using that knowledge I have of breaking up numbers. But I know I'm not there yet. So I'll make another jump of 50 to get to 400. Still not there. Another jump to get to 450. And I can add up all my jumps. And I have the same answer of 156. Only this time it was a little faster. I got the same answer and I did a little less work. So we're really thinking about how we can solve our problems, making bigger jumps and being more efficient. So let's look at the problems you're going to solve today. Now, you're going to solve two problems, and I'll read the directions for you. Solve the problem using an open number line. Can you make big jumps on your line to use as few jumps possible? Remember to write your addition and subtraction equation in the pink box. So after you solve the problem, you'll write an addition and a subtraction equation in this box. And I'll read both problems for you. Little Inchworm is going on a trip to see her friend on the other side of the meadow. Her friend lives 519 inches away. Little Inchworm has already crawled 308 inches. How many more inches does she need to go to get to her friend's house? Write your answer down here after you solve it on the open number line. Then write two equations. Problem 2. In September, second graders in Kendra's reading group read 692 pages in all. In May, they read 820 pages. How many more pages did they read in May than September? Write your answer at the bottom here, and then 2 equations, 1 addition and 1 subtraction. Now, that's your job for today for math. Get to work, and we will talk to you soon.